be reasoning together and helping one another. So number one, we need to realize that there's a difference between humans and animals biologically. So what we need to remember is that humans have got a more developed frontal lobe. So there is this part of the brain that we call the frontal lobe. It is more developed. Now, this part of the brain is responsible for cognitive empathy. So this cognitive empathy is where you understand other people's perspective, other people's viewpoint, and then you feel how they are feeling. You try to put yourself in somebody's shoes. Because of this, it differentiates us from animals because animals rely on instinct. So an animal can be playing with another animal, but if anything goes sour between them, they can even kill each other, which is different between humans. So as humans, there are things we expect of each other. Why am I bringing about this issue? Yesterday, I mentioned the issue of dictatorship and how dictatorship doesn't seem to care much. So this part of the brain, which is supposed to help people have empathy and feel for other people, in people who've been desensitized, like I mentioned yesterday, they no longer feel that empathy. Ambassador, I'll give examples so that people can understand clearly what I'm talking about. There are so many ways in which dictators use lies and other manipulations to govern the country. Now, for those who are joining us for the first time, this is a topic of dictatorship because Zambia is now in a dictatorship. And what you are seeing are not ordinary things. Those are playbooks from dictators. Number one, you know, they like inventing internal enemies. So dictators will invent an internal enemy. What they'll do is they're going to point at a group of people. Usually it could be political opponents. And then they'll say these political opponents are the ones who are causing our problems. As it is right now in Zambia. So in Zambia, despite what happened during elections, where people even saw who was attacking who, everybody saw that it was UPND cadres all over rampaging the polling stations. And later, there was the killing of Mtoto Kafuaya. But the government has now identified Munduvile as the enemy. So what dictators do is they will identify an enemy, shine the light on the enemy, and they are going to make sure that people focus on that enemy instead of them. So right now, they have invented all these malicious attacks on Munduvile to say Munduvile was running a militia. Now, to those who don't understand what this militia they are talking about was intending to do, according to them, they are saying this militia wanted to topple the government. But the question is, how can a militia made up of two young children, twins, a mother, a father, and the friends who came there from a meeting with the observers, be a planning meeting? How do you plan a militia with your children? Young children, you are planning a militia. So this has got nothing to do with what was on the ground. It is merely a playbook from dictators. So they think they have given you an enemy. And you know what? Everyone is discussing this enemy. Others are even believing that indeed, maybe there is something they did. And for sure, for their supporters, they have bought into this story and they are saying that Mtoto Kafuaya may have even shot at the authorities when they went there. That is what dictators do because their supporters are already desensitized. I can assure you that even Idi Amin had staunch supporters who believed that whatever Idi Amin was doing was the right thing. Another example we can give, Satan. Everybody knows Zambia is a Christian nation. Satan has got ardent supporters who believe that despite Satan being a destroyer, a killer, and it's something that doesn't even care about anyone, but there are people who still believe that Satan is the best person, is the best one to follow. So even dictators have got people who follow them. So what we are seeing in Zambia is clear dictatorship. The other thing I wanted to mention is they also claim that they hold exclusive power or legitimacy over the nation. Dictators want people to believe that without them, the country is doomed. And they do this by rewriting history. I think all of us will remember that during the time of campaigns, the president, who is there today, mentioned that the entire 11 years the country was lost. And at one point, he also said, from 1964, the country was headed in the wrong direction. So they are rewriting history. To them, the way the country was run was not the way it was supposed to be run. Everything Zambians ever believed was not how it is supposed to be. They went ahead, removed the freedom stature from the money. That seemed simple to people who don't pay attention to detail, but you are dealing with the actual fabric of the country. The freedom stature was no longer there on the money. Anything that Zambians believed in as their history was being looked down upon. That is what dictators do. They rewrite history and then they come out like they are the only legitimate person. People will tell you that their supporters even go and stand on the podium and say, we wish there were no elections because we believe this person is the best person to rule this country. That is dictatorship. The other thing, they control the media. I think we talked about this yesterday, and I won't dwell much into that. The other thing they like is they fabricate conspiracies. Now, listen to this. As we are talking today, there is a conspiracy that Vaden Findle was apparently sponsoring this notorious militia, and this militia was headed by Mundubile, and Mundubile now is being wanted by the police because there is terrorism. Now, imagine, these kind of things are even listed on dictators. The things they use when they are fabricating conspiracies is, 1, terrorism. 2, they will use their critics that they are being funded by foreign agents or some other people who don't mean well for the country, and they are the ones to save you. So, to unsuspecting people, they are going to believe that for sure this government is there to help us. But reality is, even before Akainde became president, there were people within Zambia who had money, who were helping. Even before he became president, he had followers from outside the country who used to contribute money and give him money to help him. When somebody merely gives a politician money, if at all there is any, it doesn't mean that they are sponsoring any terrorism or anything. But dictators who attach anyone. If you've noticed right now, Ambassador and our listeners, anyone who supported Mundubile is a terrorist. Anyone who supported Mundubile is the wrong person. No one is free as long as you supported Mundubile. So dictatorship must be recognized for what it is. The other thing they like doing is manipulation. Ambassador, there is a lot of manipulation. When the president is talking, he talks as if he's the most caring person. When he's talking, he talks about unity. As a country, let's make sure we do this. And he goes on. The other day, the first thing he mentioned after the elections were announced was that I don't want people in the hospitals to be moving with phones. You need to care for the patients. You see, he's trying to show that he cares so much about people than anybody else. And when he does that, those unsuspecting people, he's appealing to their emotion that this person is actually compassionate. And because he's compassionate, they start identifying with him. But remember, all that is not real. Behind that smiley face, behind that face that is trying to portray a picture of being a nice person, is someone who is plotting serious injustices against their own people. And they make false legal claims. That's another important thing we need to look at. They make false legal claims. When you look at the things that opposition are going through right now, Ambassador, you don't really need to make any mistake or commit any crime. All you need to do is be in the opposition. They are even saying that the people who are supporting the opposition, they don't deserve to even, like the musicians don't deserve to sing, they don't deserve to make any money. And the president was on record saying that he was even feeling pity in the past. Now this time, there will be no pity. He's going to make sure that he deals with the boys. And by the boys, obviously means Mundubile and Makebi Zulu. And today, we are. There is a statement that Mundubile and Makebi have been summoned to go to police. So when you look at all these things that are happening, they are happening for only one purpose. And I want our listeners to pay attention. The purpose is, 1, to create fear in the people. Number 2, to confuse the people about what is really happening in the country. And then to also create dependency and cynicism, where people will start doubting so much because there is a lot of unverified things that are happening. There are so many things floating around in the social media, in the media. So people get confused. They become cynical. Whenever something happens, they're not really sure which one is which. And at the end of the day, they want people to realize that resistance is not possible. Because with resistance, people will attach it to death. As you have seen, already people are resigning. They are no longer going to be politicians. For the first time, we are hearing a lot of people just after elections, they are saying, hey, I don't want to be involved in politics. Because now, fear is gripping the people. And you can't blame these people because right now in Zambia, it is a matter of life and death to be a politician who is not working with the government. And I can assure you and our listeners that as we speak, 90% of the people who are surrounding Hakainde today are there for survival. If they were to have a free will, all those people wouldn't even agree with him. But because they need to survive and their lives depend on this. So I want to urge our people. You need to make sure you identify these weaknesses in dictatorship. There is nothing wrong that Mundubile did. If Mundubile endorsed Hakainde, today Mundubile wouldn't be told that you are treasonous. If today Mundubile was to say, I agree, let's work together, all these charges would be dropped. But that's what dictatorship does. It is about cohesion. With dictatorship, you are not free. Now, we can learn from this by knowing that if we pass through this phase, it is going now to make us as a country become stronger, because once we fight this dictatorship, the next president will strengthen the laws, and the laws are going to be proof of these dictatorial tendencies. Just like the way we have got in other countries. I can cite an example in the US. They have got the Second Amendment. In this Second Amendment, the citizens were given the rights to bear arms. The reason they were given the rights to bear arms was because the forefathers, the founding fathers, realized that one day there may be a tyrant. So when there is a tyrant, in America, there are more guns among the people than the military. So the people are allowed to rise because the founding fathers knew that the Second Amendment was to protect the Constitution. So we don't have such in our country. And in our country, we don't have a lot of laws to protect the Constitution. That's why the man is now exploiting.
You are muted. You are muted. You are muted, my brother. You are muted. Unmute yourself. You are muted. Can you hear me? We are losing Dr. Sampa. They aimed at his life. Kylie my vote yebana mubela. My vote walipela mundubile, but my results need different story. You stole his vote. We are now a military state. Who will speak for the people? Now that Kafwaya Mwapaya, if votes are stolen, then what is the purpose of elections? Democracy is dying. Mutotweba Kaya, tell me who pulled the trigger. Another 2 man in dying. Democracy is dying. Zambia is a danger zone. Ukuvota Washi, Washi. He came in power on democracy. He now has power through hypocrisy. Constitution is dead in front of foreign cameras. Apanumba Bomfiama soldier. You attack the boys at midnight without regard for their life. Vinshimutina Bakateka with guns. Abateka, no goofy. Who killed Mutotwe Kafwaya? Who sent the assassins? Justice not rhetoric.
let's see if Doc is back. Doc, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yes, yes.
My
Please
apologies.
proceed.
I received the call. Yeah, so like I was saying, the other thing that we need to remember is that the dictators also do what we call, they deny documented abuses. For instance, dictators would even deny something that you are all seeing. Let's give an example. Everybody knows that in Chawama, people stormed the polling station, and those who stormed the polling station were all cadres from UPND. They even got the ballots, and they are video recording video those injustices happening. But what does do is they will make you not to believe what you are seeing, because using their media, which they control, and they have got edited media, they will make sure that everyone will parrot everything that they are saying, whether right or wrong. So they said, because the opposition are the ones who are causing confusion, they had to bring in the military to protect the votes. But in reality, the military was not protecting the vote, because the people in the problem were agents of the government. So the government just needed to tell the people to say, stop what you are doing. You are our people, we know you. But it's because dictators create problems themselves and then come out like they are now trying to solve them. So this is a very simple thing. Every political scientist must understand this, that there is, in politics, politicians create problems. In political science, there is a theory where you create problems and then come out like you are the savior. And that is what this government has been doing. So they said they are sending the military, but the reason they were sending the military was something else. This is dictatorship. And Ambassador, our people need to know. The other important thing is they discredit truths using lies. Just right now, if you check the social media, even when people are interviewing the president Munduvire, when they are interviewing Munduvire, these media houses, like I said, they are afraid that if they say something or ask questions that are going to make Munduvire seem like they are supporting him, they are going to either close them down or arrest them. So, for instance, how can you report what the report I saw on BBC, Ambassador? That was a watered down report. How can someone even go on BBC and start alleging that there was actually an exchange of gunfire between Munduvire and the armed forces? Who would want to exchange gunfire with the commandos in Zambia? Zambians have never experienced war before. Zambians are very peaceful people. In fact, if you ask most of the Zambians today, they'll tell you that it's the first time they are seeing a commando moving around in town, because we are used to the police. Even when ECO was around, Ambassador, that's why ECO was a Democrat. You know that man, Ambassador, he had a clear case. He was blocked and his life was endangered by an opposition leader. ECL had all the rights. If it was somewhere else, coming close to the president like that, today, HH wouldn't be around. They would have just taken him out. But ECL took the other route. He understood. He is human, and then he understood that we all make mistakes. And I can tell you that his frontal lobe was functioning very well. That's the reason why he had empathy. He was not desensitized. So he was functioning normally, and he said, okay, look, we are going to take you to prison. When they detained Akainde, when people came to talk to ACL, despite knowing the implications, he still let go of HH. I can tell you today, Ambassador, if ECL stood firm, we wouldn't be